Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Laundromat Millionaire Show, sponsored by HM Company at draintroughs.com. We've got another guest for you today, and this one is a industry legend, Steve Marcionetti from CCI and from LaundryCard in Chicagoland area, and he's going to join us today. The Marcionetti family, I'm sure you know them. Everybody knows them. They are absolute veterans and beasts in this industry. Definitely some of the good guys and gals in this industry for sure, and we are excited to have this episode. They are a multi-store owner family, so the family owns 3 laundromats together that their sister runs, and then they own an equipment distributor of Hipsch and Continental out of Chicago, and they service building new laundromats and existing laundromats in the Chicago area. And then obviously they have CCI, which is, you've heard of LaundryCard and FASCard and all these different payment systems out there. So they're a unique family in the sense of they are laundromat operators, they are distributors, full service distributors, by the way. So they don't just sell equipment, but they do the service and the installation, and they handle everything in-house. And then are also a service provider with their LaundryCard system going all the way back to 2000 with a CCI. So this episode is packed full of information from Steve himself and kind of years of decades, I should say, of information coming from the Marcionetti family in general.
But before we get on with the interview, we do want to highlight that we have our first workshop of 2026 coming up, March 17th and 18th in Cincinnati, Ohio. So whether you are wanting to start wash, dry, fold, and pick up and delivery out of your laundromat, or whether you already offer this and are just wanting to make it better, this is the workshop for you. We call it a workshop because it is not a conference. Some people call it's like joining a franchise where they teach you all of the SOPs, all of the operations. They train you how to do this service, how to make it profitable. The only difference is we're not taking franchise fees. This is a one-time cost, but we literally teach you everything we do in our business to create a profitable wash, dry, fold, and delivery business. So if this sounds like something you'd be interested in, go to laundromatmillionaire.com and check out our workshops coming up in March. But let's get on with our today's episode with Steve Marcionetti.
How much money is left on all those cards? And it was like $48,000 of unclaimed balance and still consistently produce $10,000 in new float every single year. The ROI on a card only is much higher than in a hybrid solution.
So Steve, welcome to the show.
No, thank you. Great to be here.
Yeah, as I told you when we were offline, Steve, it's been too long. I don't know how in the world I had a podcast for 5 years and haven't had you on the show, but that is my bad. And we will make sure that we don't go 5 years again. It's no secret you and I chat at different conferences and stuff like that. And the Marcionetti family in general is definitely some of the good guys in the industry and gals in the industry. So we are honored to have you on the show. You guys are doing a lot of good work in the Chicago area and surrounding areas with your equipment distributorship, your stores, and of course CCI. So we are excited to kind of share the story.
Happy to share, and yeah, absolutely. We've been great to catch up with you in a little more personal way here, but yeah, I've been seeing you around the country at all the different events, and I guess it's time. Let's do this.
For those people in the laundry industry that have not had the pleasure of meeting you and your family, can you tell us a little bit about your background in the laundry industry and how you're involved today?
Yeah, sure. So long family history in the laundry business. Started with my father when he got out of Vietnam. He was looking for a job like a lot of guys that were leaving the service at that time. And he had an uncle that was a laundry equipment repairman and was willing to teach him that skill, and became good at that. And we're talking the early 70s, maybe, at this point. And that kind of led through a career for him where he went from being a service guy to owning a small store to owning 2 small stores. And I think him and my
right, not laundromats yet, repair stores.
No, these were laundromats.
Oh, these were laundromats.
Yeah, so he was in a commercial, a vended laundry equipment repairman.
Okay.
He worked for a distributorship back in the day, but he found the opportunity to buy a handful of stores. I think they had 6 or 7 stores in the Chicagoland area. I was a baby at the time. It's tough on the body, being a service guy. I'm sure you guys have experienced, what it takes to really kind of climb around. So I think at some point my father discovered that selling equipment could be just or as more profitable than working by the hour, and a little easier on the body. And then they also had a kind of a bad experience in the stores where they got robbed, and it was a very scary thing, as you might imagine, for young parents. And so they actually sold all their stores as well. They were like, we don't want to be in this, and just kind of went all in on the sales side of things. So my dad worked for a number of distributors in the Chicagoland area for many years. So it's been part of his blood for just a really long time. My background, more specifically, was around IT. Actually, I never finished college. It really didn't appeal to me, but I always was very technical. And actually, in some of the jobs I was doing like IT installations, more technical physical installations. I worked for TGI Fridays for a period of time doing point of sale systems and travel all over the country. Then I worked for Pitney Bowes, which is a large mailings. They had a software division I worked for doing similar. And I was on the road 3 weeks at a time, home for a weekend, 3 weeks out, weekend home. It was a very rough life. This was right around 1998. And my father decided to leave the distributorship that he had and start his own. And he had an opportunity to pick up a line of laundry equipment at that point. And he took my brother in. I have a younger brother, Andy, who he and him and my mother essentially started a distributorship in 1998, early 1999. And about 6 months into it, things were going really well. And I think that he needed the help, and I could not wait to get off the road. And so it had nothing to do with technology or computers, which is everything that I knew. It was selling laundry equipment, installing laundry equipment. At that time, my brother and I would help with installs and service and all that side. And I said, yep, I'm ready to get off the road. So jumped right in. And we ran Laundry Concepts. That's the name of our Chicagoland distribution business. And, we worked really hard. We still work hard today. My brother runs that today now. My father did retire a number of years ago. Still checks in, but not as involved as he used to be. It didn't take long, though, unfortunately, for my IT kind of techie, nerdy brain look at our industry and decide that there's kind of a gap in the technology space. There were card systems. So we think about payment systems. There actually were payment systems available for laundry equipment at that time. But kind of my background, I just felt like they were really missing things. Primarily, one of the things was the cost of the cards. They were all chip-based cards, at least the systems we were initially involved in, and they were north of $3 a piece. I mean, they were really expensive, kind of prohibitive. You couldn't give them away. You had to charge the customer. So you have this huge, barrier of entry for a retail customer to use a card. And then there was just a lack of quality. There was some quality issues that we were concerned with. We did find another product. We didn't give up right away on the tech that was out there. We found another product that had magstripe-based cards, which were much, much less, much more affordable. And we really, really bonded to that product for a number of years and moved a number of those systems as a distributor. But what we ran into there was, again, a quality issue. And then on top of that, just a lack of support. I don't have to tell you that laundromats are busy on evenings and weekends. And when do you think you're going to have your problems? It's going to be evenings and weekends. Guess what? There was no tech support in evenings or weekends. If you had a problem Friday night at 6:30, you weren't getting help until Monday. And that just didn't align with laundromat owners. And so, aside from what I learned from that and the gaps that I saw in the products, I convinced my father and a very close friend of his that owns a software development company here in the Chicagoland area to put up the seed money to start CCI. And we just basically took everything that we didn't like about the products that were on the market in about 12 months and built the laundry card product, which is still serviced and sold today, very popular. But that's kind of what got me started in it. And it didn't take long for my responsibilities as a distributor to transition to just payment systems. It turned out we weren't the only distributor in the country that wasn't necessarily pleased with the options. And so as we started to kind of offer what we had built to other distributors in the market, it became popular very quickly.
Picture your store on a Saturday. The parking lot is full. Your washers and dryers are turning. Customers stroll in, and before you know it, your store has come alive. Now, cut to you. You've done your homework and upgraded to Speed Queen machines, so you're not stuck behind the counter. Instead, you're doing what you love. Speed Queen Insights technology allows you to manage your store remotely, Anytime, anywhere, check in between errands instead of spending a full Saturday at your store. When it's time to retool, Speed Queen makes it easy to build the right equipment and tech mix with customer-friendly controls that keep you in control. Visit speedqueencommercial.com/turns to get started.
When was that? When was that you launched CC?
Yeah, so we incorporated officially in 2000, so we eventually started, but I don't think we installed our first system until mid 2001.
Okay.
It took us a while to get there. I mean, I hand built every piece of, and not the card readers. We had a local company do the cards, but all the kiosks were built by me. And I had a tiny little workshop in our office where I'd put everything together and test it all, and I'd deliver it to wherever it was going, put it up, and then babysit it for a week to make sure it worked well. And trust me, it didn't work particularly well the first couple of times.
So were you the first industry specific, and I'm using very specific verbiage here, but were you the first card system that was industry specific? Because obviously there's multiple ones now, but I'm thinking back to 2025. We got in the business in 2010. Seemed like you guys have been around for a while.
We were not the first. So I want to claim that we were the first to be in the industry with that. The very first chip-based system, that was pulled in from another industry. So that product kind of had been pulled in from somewhere else and then made to work in a laundry. The second product, the MagShare, that was built for a laundry owner. Actually, kind of the similar story to ours is I just didn't like the options. He was very technical, and he ended up selling that company to a major manufacturer a number of years later. That company did discontinue the product eventually, and so it's no longer out today. But it very much consider them one of the pioneers of some of the technology that we, some of the ideas that we still use today.
Wow, interesting.
When you say card system, so you all were creating a loyalty card system. So where, people put money on a card and then they can spend it at your laundromat. Was there before that like credit card readers, or are you talking about all being able to use cards at all? Like not just coins at a laundromat?
It's interesting, and we'll probably circle back to this, but at the time it was just loyalty card only. It was a way to eliminate coins. That was the only directive, like no more quarters. Like we have to get off of quarters, and there's a lot of business reasons I know you guys are familiar with, but eliminate coin was the only motive. Credit cards were not something we had even thought about at the time. All the systems, not just ours, only took cash. I mean, it was cash to card. There were no credit cards. Yeah, no, there was no credit cards in those days. It just wasn't popular. I mean, people were still paying by cash, and obviously that changed. It's changed significantly since then. But eventually we added credit card acceptance at the kiosk to add value to it. Taking credit cards directly at the washer and dryer, our FASCard product is what does that. That didn't come until about 2012.
Okay. Wow.
So yeah.
And for those of you at home that are listening, Steve, I'm sure you see it on the Facebook groups and sometimes even at panel discussions, we just start using the word card system.
I know.
Throwing it around. And I'm sitting in the audience, like taking notes. I'm like, wait a second. These people are talking about two completely different things. And I feel like, probably half the audience understands the nuance, but the newbies don't. They're just like, card system. It's just a card system. I know you have
some kinds of cards.
Yeah.
Maybe loyalty, maybe debit, maybe credit, maybe I don't know.
You have multiple products. Could you very slowly for the newbie kind of explain the nuances and the difference and even some of the lingo that I think is pretty commonly adopted nowadays as far as what exactly are these different products that you offer and some of your competitors offer, and what are the pros and cons that you see because you're an operator too. I think we talked about it in the beginning, but Steve and his family own 3 laundromats in Chicago also. So they're not only distributors, they're distributors of laundry equipment and everything else. They have CCI, but then they're also operators. They run a chain of laundromats as well, which I'm sure gives you incredible insight.
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess there are a couple things there. Certainly to describe the products that we have. So Laundry Card was the founding product, and that was designed to eliminate coin. Obviously the idea that you could centralize all of your collections. I mentioned my father got out of the business because he was robbed, and there's so much exposure when you're collecting coins. And I know there's a lot of TikTok videos out there of people collecting their quarters and dumping them in there, and it looks, maybe for some that looks really exciting to some degree. That does not excite excite me at all. Maybe as a new owner, it doesn't take long for the shine of that to wear off. But the reality is that all we do is take those quarters and put them in the change machine. It's this unusual idea that we use quarters, which is a form of tender, as essentially a start mechanism for our machines. We wanted to eliminate that, and there were obviously lots of obvious reasons. Laundry card was to really allow penny incremental pricing. Like, we can't charge at the time. We had periods of time where natural gas was just through the roof. And so people were reducing their dry times to like 2 minutes a cycle, a quarter, because nobody was on full cycle dry. I mean, that's still kind of a foreign concept in some markets. So having these very short cycles were just not manageable. And the idea that you could increment and adjust your pricing by the penny was massive. Being able to collect your funds from one place and do it in like 2 minutes instead of, an hour, depending on how big your store was. And if you were collecting, you weren't counting how much were coming out of the 20-pound washers or the 30s. You were just emptying all the machines in a bucket, dumping them in the change machine, pulling the cash out, and you have all that exposure. Having rear-loaded card kiosks, we call them exchangers, allowed you to basically invisibly collect your store and nobody saw you were in there. So that was a huge piece. The other side effect that we learned about when we got involved in the card systems, which ended up being a huge ROI factor for most of the products, was the idea that you got to collect the money up front. Instead of asking your customers to pay as they go, you asked them to give you $20 up front, and then they spent that $20 through swiping their card. And that float or credit balance turned out to be a revenue center, no differently than gift cards from any retail store.
When you launched the laundry card product, I mean, did you realize the magnitude of like what a float? I'm sure you knew, like, understood the concept, but do you understand the magnitude of, like, now people are basically selling these systems, and your sales guys probably do it too. They're like, hey, the float basically pays for the system, like, in a couple years.
Yeah. Did you realize how much money that was going to grow to be, or did you just think, oh, it's paying up front and it's buying loyalty, not realizing there's going to be some money out there that people never come back and redeem? That basically you have the revenue and they never come and get the service.
Yeah, I don't think I realized the impact of it when we were developing the product. I mean, I think we knew that there'd be something there, but we didn't realize how much it would end up being. And at the time of developing the system, we were also building our first stores. And actually, we don't own any of those early stores anymore. The ones we have now, we sold and built some different ones. But early then, those stores we had fully intended to also be, and we still use our stores today, as guinea pigs for these products. It's always nice to be able to beat yourself up and instead of pick on a store owner that, doesn't know they're being a guinea pig. So owning stores helps us a lot in testing the things that we think we want to try as a system owner. But I tell people this story all the time, and there's a million of them now at this point. But the very first store we put in ourselves, we had operated it for, we're about 3 years into it, maybe 4 years actually into it. On one day, I was pulling reports off of it, like, as I normally do, and I said, you know what? I wonder how many cards are. We seem to be putting a lot of cards out. People keep buying, they lose the cards, they buy more cards. It's one of the things people don't like about payment systems is the cards get lost or they get disposed of, and you're replenishing them regularly. And I'm like, how many cards are out there? And again, not a huge store. I would say it's probably about 3,000 square feet. Nice size store. Did decent business. Not amazing, but not terrible. Just a good store. Just a nice laundry. And in a 4-year period, we had dispensed like 27,000 cards or something like that. I mean, it was a lot of cards. And then I said, okay, how many of those cards have not been in the store? Like, how many of those cards have not had a transaction in a year? Like, I just said, that means they're not coming back. They've thrown it away. They've lost the card, whatever it is, but low chance that a card that hasn't been in the store in a year is coming back. And it was this massive number of those cards. I mean, it was probably all but 5,000 of them were, or maybe even less, maybe 3,000 were active in a year. And then I said, more importantly, how much money is left on all those cards? That was the thing. And it was like $48,000 of unclaimed balance on these loyalty cards. And that's when, the light bulb goes off and you're like, that paid for this system. I mean, well paid for the system, not to mention, all of the other benefits that we had capitalized on with the penny or pricing, the better quality of collecting. I mean, all these other things. So there was a hard ROI number now that we could kind of talk to people about. And Float is something that some store owners that aren't maybe advocates of the product, they look at it from the retail customer's perspective, and I can appreciate that as being maybe a downside of it, but this is just a benefit of going coinless, and eliminating the coin. Yeah.
And also, I mean, not to bring in competitors of yours, I won't name anybody, but there are companies out there where you don't keep the float, they keep the float. And a lot of times they might be cheaper than, your product, but in the long run, are they?
I'm curious. Let me ask you real quick, and you don't have to say who it is, but I'm genuinely curious. This is just my nature. What's the biggest float you've ever heard of? Like, do you remember?
Gosh.
I mean, would it be six figures, you think?
I don't know whether or not I know because the way we track it is on an annual basis, and we don't do a lot to go back over multiple years. You got to be kind of implicit to say, I'm going to go back and look at all of it. But some of our stores now, I mean, it's $10,000 a year consistently and some of these stores are 12, 13, 14-year-old stores and still consistently produce $10,000 in new float every single year. So do the math.
Yeah.
Wow. It's a lot.
Whether you already have a laundromat or are looking to get into the laundry industry, everyone needs proper drainage. We use HM Company drain troughs. Their drain troughs were first created in 1991, and they have been the leading drain trough manufacturer ever since. They're made in the USA, and their drain troughs are fully customizable to meet your needs. That's why we've used them ever since entering the industry. They're easy to clean for our staff and plenty sturdy when we need to walk on them when servicing our washers. With the ability to span up to 25 feet, our troughs rarely need to be connected together, creating an easy installation. Want to slope your trough like we do? No problem. Just let the experts at HM Company know. For more information, go to their website at draintroughs.com. That is draintroughs.com. HM Company Drain Troughs. They've been leading the industry since 1991. Check them out today. Yeah. I will say for those people out there, so we do have a loyalty card system. And one way, you said one of the arguments is the negativity you get from customers about, you're kind of like taking money from your customers if they never redeem it or whatever. And we've kind of balanced that. Like, we honestly do not have much float at this point, but it's not because we haven't had a lot of people buy loyalty cards, but you can kind of counteract that with discounts, like bonuses. Like we have, if they use cash to buy their loyalty card, then, if they put in $20, we put $25 on it. And that is all balancing against that float, where it ends up not creating as big of a float, but the customers love it. So you get all the benefits of that loyalty card system, of them returning the loyalty. Also, the kiosk with the backloading and all that privacy and collecting from one place, like all the positives for the owner. It can give a positive to the customer too.
I want to add this too. Something we haven't talked about yet that I think is maybe one of the biggest ones, at least in my mind, is just what I call the customer experience. I mean, you compare, we have 80-pound machines. They're $13. We charge $3 for extra wash, $3 for extra rinse on those machines. Those are $19, assuming they choose that. And that's about 25% of our customers choose both of those. You put $19 in quarters in a machine, like you're going to need to take a break. Right? I mean, you're going to get a cramp in your arm versus just going up there either tapping or swiping your card. Yeah, I mean, you just do that one or two times, or even watch someone else do that one or two times, and you'll never want to touch coins again. And that's as a consumer, right? But that's my big focal point. Isn't really me, although those are all benefits for the owner. I'm always obsessed on the customer experience. So I think that's one of the biggest benefits aside from all the other things we've talked about.
I think Carl is 100% right on too, is that the benefits that we can offer our retail customers by using a card far outweigh the downsides that come along with it. And I like to use an example that we sometimes service communities that are they're more poor than maybe where we live, and they are looking for a better deal. They need discounts, they need coupons. They will clip the coupon. They will go after the better deal. And how better of an opportunity do you have to give them a better opportunity? And all you're asking for is their loyalty. You just say, we just want you to do laundry here, and you will get that $5 every time you put some value on your card, and all those rules are configurable, of course. How else can you better serve the people that you are serving by giving them better options through using a card. You just can't do that with quarters. You can't have a change machine that gives out $22 every time you put a $20 bill in it. It'll be empty in about 45 minutes.
Yes, it
And
will.
no one will be doing laundry.
The big bill bonus is a big feature, by the way. That's, like Steve said, customizable. So in our case, you put $20 on a card, you get $25. You get $5 free or 25%. Another one that I've heard that is more popular for like grand openings and customer appreciation days and stuff like that is like the double your money kind of stuff. You put 20 on a card and I'll give you 40. Which that's pretty aggressive, but once again, we're buying loyalty. If you're a new store trying to capture market share, very, very powerful things. What are a couple other ones?
Yeah, there's a lot of things that you can do, and we probably won't go into each of them. But I would say another one is loyalty points, because it's very simple. Everyone has a Subway card that every time they go in and they stamp their card, you fill up the card, you get a free sandwich, and there's lots of Starbucks actually really did a great job with that same concept, and you just kept getting the stars, and those stars turned into free purchases. Almost all the systems on the market, not just us, have some layer of that where you basically now you're not necessarily rewarding them for adding value to their card, but you're rewarding them for doing laundry. And so it's a different way to kind of position a loyalty transaction, which is for doing wash, we're going to give you a reward. And then you can do various things with that money. You can just have it turn into free credit, where they can just do a free start or a discount on a start. We have a version of it that allows you to take those points and redeem them for physical things, like we'll do all layers of things. Kind of like, you take your kids to the arcade and then they get the tickets out of the machine and they get 5,000 tickets and they get an eraser behind the counter, right? So
We get a Tootsie Roll.
you spend $50 and that's what they end up with. But we have a similar thing and they can choose it right on the screen. And we do things like a gift card for the grocery store next door, like a Netflix subscription, all different layers, Dunkin' Donuts gift cards, things that are easy for us to manage in the store. We don't have a lot of big tangible, big physical, but you could do whatever. The top prize in our stores is a tablet, like a Amazon Fire tablet. It's a kid's version. And you'd be surprised at how many tablets we issue every year at the stores. They save them up. They just keep saving them, and then they redeem them, and there's a brand new tablet, and that's been very popular.
I love that.
There's all kinds of we call it prize packages, but it's essentially a loyalty points system. It's a variant of that. There's all kinds of ways to do group discounts, so you can appeal to first responder, teachers, school, anybody you want to respond. We have ways of assigning special discounts and track their usage. I love the idea of using the community to not only give back to them, but to use them as an advertising arm for the stores. We can set up a group discount for a school. Like we were talking about our kids earlier, but when my kids were young, they would always have these restaurant nights where if you went to Chipotle on Wednesday night, they would keep track of it. You had to bring a coupon in and you give it to the clerk, and then they would tally up all the families that did dinner, and then they would give back to the school some percentage of the sales for that night. We can do the exact same thing with these systems where you say register as a member of the Prairie School community. It was our elementary school, and for this week, all of the laundry by that registered group, we will tally up, and then at the end of the week, we'll give back some percentage of that back to the school for some initiative. So the school does all the advertising essentially for it. You can put it out in the paper about this thing you did for the school, and you're being helpful. You're giving people. You can give those people a discount. You might just not give them. You may just track their usage. You have lots of options. But to me, that's a win-win all the way around, giving back and helping the people that are looking for the help.
Yeah.
I love that. Some of the benefits I've seen too of being able to use this loyalty card system is when people register for those cards, you're getting their email. And that's one thing with, a coin only or cash only store, you're never getting any contact information for them.
Yeah,
I mean, if they do
sure.
drop off or pick up and delivery, maybe you're getting that information there. But for those self-serve customers, you're finally getting contact information for them where you can market to them all those deals, discounts, and all that kind of thing. Another thing I was going to mention, you mentioned about the bonuses helping those who are disadvantaged in your community. Another benefit of the loyalty card system is that those kiosks, sometimes they can even accept like some of the government cards and stuff like that. So they can actually get some of their government benefits even through your system now. So
the kiosk can take EBT and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Sure.
There's a lot of advantages with the card system, with the loyalty card system that we love. So you talked about Laundry Card, which is your loyalty card system, and it's amazing and a ton of things you can do. Your other two products, so you have FASCard and you have Flex RF. Is that right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
very good.
tell us the difference between
Yeah.
Laundry Card's your loyalty card system, if somebody wants to go with that. And so at the machines, your machine will only take that loyalty card, right? If they have Laundry Card, that's the only thing
That's
it'll
correct.
take. Okay.
Yeah, Laundry Card is that.
So can you explain the difference then with your other two products?
Sure. Some of the differences are a little nuanced, and they're slightly technical, but I don't think it's terrible to understand. Is one of the things to keep in mind with our Laundry Card product is that we call it an on-premise solution. What that means is it runs isolated. It's an island. It runs all by itself. It's not needed to be connected to any internet. Remember, in the year 2000, the idea of the internet was AOL. It was dial-up. We were not connecting any of these systems to the internet. They were connected to a phone modem. I mean, we would dial into them with a telephone line, but obviously things have changed. And so the idea of the cloud, the internet became more popular. And there are lots of benefits to thinking about the cloud, but there's also a lot of benefits about thinking about being on premise from a connectivity and some reliability perspectives. And so the second product we developed in 2012 was FASCard, and we decided we were going to make it a cloud-based solution because now the cloud was much more of a reliable solution that you could count on. And at the time, people were really interested in doing hybrid type pay. What I mean by hybrid is they wanted to keep their quarters. That's the biggest thing we struggled with in the early days. Is that, I can't get rid of quarters. All right, fine. But they want to take credit cards. They want to do something else also at the machine. Pay at the pump, gas stations were everywhere. I mean, you couldn't even imagine going to a gas station that you couldn't pay at the pump. And so the idea of having a pay at the pump at the laundry machine seemed very reasonable. And so that was the second product. FASCard was a credit card with coin solutions. Bolt the reader on, you leave the coin drop in place. In fact, we would redirect the coin drop to our card reader so that we could also monitor what was going through the machine in coins and provide a full-scale reporting output. Accept credit cards, accept debit cards. It was all swipe at this point. It was no chip credit card. It was just swiping your credit card across a card reader. And that was FASTcard. That has evolved significantly since 2012. There's been 3 iterations of the card reader. It's very popular because the barrier of entry from a user perspective is almost zero. If you don't want to you don't want to use your credit card, you can put coins in it. If you want to pull out your Visa, now you can tap it, you can insert your chip, you can use your Apple Pay directly at the device. So this idea of hybrid payment is still very popular. Flex RF is essentially a version of FASTcard. We call it something different because people get really confused by names. But Flex RF is a version of FASTcard, but it doesn't take credit cards. So it's a cloud-based version of Laundry Card, more or less, built on a cloud technology. And it can be more cost-effective that way. Imagine Laundry Card, since it is an island, you have to buy all of the equipment, the servers, the network, the software, all has to be purchased and licensed, and it's a big upfront investment to do that in a Laundry Card system. Whereas with FlexRF, you're basically renting time on our servers, on a server in the cloud. You don't have to buy the software. There's no networking really to deal with. You're just buying some basic wireless card reader hardware in the store, and so you can put together a package that is really cost effective. But you're also
kiosk, right?
You still have kiosks. You still have all of the retail experience is almost invisible. I mean, it's the same. I mean, they don't really notice a difference. One of the added benefits to the FlexRF product is that it will work with coin if you want to, where Laundry Card never had and never thought about coin as being a part of it. So it just wasn't baked into its core. But with Flex, and because of its uncle is FASTcard, it knows how to deal with quarters. It can deal with those types of things. And people also in recent years wanted contactless loyalty cards. And so FlexRF was our ability to bring a contactless loyalty card to the card reader a little bit different than swiping. Swiping is great. The cards are low cost, but it's a wearable part. You know what I mean? You're gonna wear as you swipe through it. RFID is great. You just tap it and it just, there's no wear and tear on anything at that point. So FlexRF kind of fit that niche need. Our Laundry Card product is actually taking on a lot of those characteristics now. So we're actually starting to blur the lines between some of our products and their functionality. I think it's just the nature of how long we've been in business, but that's it. So Laundry Card is is on premise. You own it. There's no service fees. There's no host. You don't have to pay somebody to have the product in there. If you want service from us, you can buy a service plan, but you don't have to. You can just take care of it yourself. FASCard, totally hosted, credit card on machine with coins, Apple Pay, all of that directly at the washer and dryer. And then FlexRF is a cloud-based loyalty card system that is very budget friendly and very capable.
To be clear, when you talk about credit card, I mean, you're talking about credit and debit, by the way, which we put in the same category, just so everyone's clear. And then the other thing I want to be clear on is with FastCard, you can, if you choose, use Laundry Card also, right?
Yeah.
As another form of hybrid. So you would have, and I know we're getting a little, I want to make sure everybody has all the information because I feel like we get so confused, especially the newbies. We start using our lingo and we confuse people. So in a hybrid system, you could, in theory, and let me know if I forget any, Steve, you could have coins. You could have a credit card. You could have a debit card. You could have Google Pay, Apple Pay, but you could also have a kiosk in your store that sells Laundry Card, and they buy a loyalty card with cash or credit card, by the way. Get a big bill bonus or their points or whatever, a typical loyalty card, and would they swipe that nowadays or would they tap that nowadays?
It's all RFID now. Yeah. So it's all RFID.
That could all be in one system within a Flex reader.
Yeah.
Right? Did you get that right?
You get all of that. And then there's one more layer, which is we have a mobile app. So FastCard has a mobile app where if you don't want the idea of having to buy loyalty cards and, obviously they do get lost and there's some benefits there. But if you don't like the idea of having to replenish the plastic loyalty cards, the mobile app is included in our product. You don't pay extra for it. It's just part of it. Your customers download an app, they register, they can put their credit card in right on the device, load their balance up. They basically have a virtual laundry card on their phone, and then they present that to the card reader and they can start the machine with their phone.
I could do that with any of the three products, even Laundry Card?
Not with Laundry Card yet. That's coming again. I know a lot of stuff is coming together, but today FastCard and FlexRF have the mobile app capability in conjunction with it. And if you actually have a loyalty card with FastCard or Flex, you can merge it into your mobile app. So if you forget your card at home, but nobody forgets their phone at home, they can pull up their same balance from their card on their phone and start the machines without having to get another card. So the mobile app is a great added benefit. It gives you end of cycle notifications. It tells people have a little peek at how busy your store is in advance, add value, take advantage of coupons and bonuses and all kinds of stuff without having to have a kiosk. It's like a kiosk in your hand. Yeah.
Yeah. And there's no cost for the app.
No cost.
When you buy the products. Okay. Well, I feel like I had a pretty good grasp on CCI and I learned a couple little things there. So very cool. Wow.
Is your laundromat ready to become the neighborhood's #1 choice? LaundroBoost has proven strategies to help your business flourish.
I think we saw changes pretty quick before that 4-month range. I'm in that 4-month range now, and we're seeing changes left and right. I mean, pickup and delivery clients, drop-off clients, self-service clients, businesses up as a whole.
Literally, it was shocking to watch the numbers jump. I wish I could go back and I could begin to track these things, which I have done, to see what percentage growth we had, but it wasn't unusual to go up 30% per month.
At LaundroBoost, we specialize in fueling laundromat growth. Through targeted Google ads and powerful social media campaigns, we make your location stand out and attract loyal customers. Ready to level up your laundromat? Visit laundroboostmarketing.com and book a call with us for a free consultation.
For Laundry Card, you have a bigger upfront cost, but are there, other than ordering additional cards, there's no ongoing
There's no required ongoing fees. Again, people like support, they like support contracts. We treat it kind of like if you buy software from a company, they might charge you for getting support. Like if you need help, we give you a support for a year at no charge. And then if you want support of that, you can either buy a plan and that it covers a year and you can call in 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Our team is all 100% US based. It's all hired by me and my support manager, or you can pay as you go. So if you call in, you pay a one-time fee. So you're not obligated to any ongoing fees as it relates to the Laundry Card product. FastCard and FlexRF, you're going to pay a hosting fee and you're going to get all those services and you're going to get the updates and all that stuff, but you're going to pay a fee for that.
Okay. And this might be a stupid question, but so for Laundry Card, since it's on premises, does that affect the ability, like if you have multiple locations for them to, like if each one is kind of self-contained, you'd have to buy a system for each of your locations, correct?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then would they be able to like share cards and stuff?
You can, and that's an optional thing. So we do offer something called Laundry Card Live. Again, it's optional. You do not have to do it. But if you want some of that cloud functionality where you can transfer balances between locations. And it is truly a transfer, unlike a cloud system where everything is in the cloud. We will pick up a card balance, move it to the other store, and remove it from the source location. And that's done through a server that we maintain that's in the cloud. But we don't actually store anything in the cloud. We just move the balances around. So you can have that experience of having one card, 3 locations, and the customer can travel between them with no friction. So that is possible. There is a fee for that. So but it's optional. You're not required to do it.
So my thought is, where would you see someone would choose Laundry Card over the FASCard or the FlexRF? Because to me, it sounds like those two do everything, where Laundry Card is more limiting. It's only a loyalty card. I mean, I guess you don't have the reliability on the Wi-Fi. So if you're somewhere where the Wi-Fi you don't feel like is stable enough or whatever, maybe then you would go with a Laundry Card. But can you see any reason that you would advise a customer to go with Laundry Card instead of your other 2 products?
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the things that we don't think about hard enough, and actually at this last Clean Show, it came up quite a bit, was this idea of data. Like, the information that is being collected through these systems is pretty valuable. And who does that data belong to? When you have an on-premise solution, you own your own database, you own all your own software, it's yours. I mean, it's not only is it licensed to you, it physically sits in your business and it is yours. It is yours. When you go to a cloud-based system, and although we don't claim to own anybody else's data, it is in our servers. I mean, it is sitting in our computers and they are accessing it from there. And that is true of all the cloud-based solutions out there and there's been some real concerns recently about how that data is being used. And so if you are someone that has some sensitivity to that, I think Laundry Card's a really good option for you. The other piece that on-premise makes sense is what happens if the internet goes out. So when you are on an on-premise system, it doesn't matter if the internet goes out. Your system's going to keep on trucking pretty much seamlessly. Your credit cards might not work, but your customers aren't going to know any issue with anything else. With cloud-based solutions, there's always an opportunity that if you lose the internet connection, you might have some problems. You know, we've gotten around most of that now. We've got a lot of offline capabilities that make it fairly seamless, but nothing runs better than on-premise when you're offline. Again, like you said, if you're in an area where the internet is real spotty, you don't have great service, you might want to be careful, but that's another reason to do that. So, and we have a lot of customers. We've been doing this for a long time. We have some really loyal Laundry Card customers that do not want to go to something else. And we've made sure that Laundry Card product is completely compatible with everything they've ever done in the past. And so we often have people that have years and years and years have had Laundry Card, and they just love the improvements we've made. They just keep going with Laundry Card as they go forward. They know it. They know us. They trust the product. You know, there's not many products that are 25 years old that are still in operation and doing things. There's a lot of trust that comes along with that. So Laundry Card can do a lot of things, but you're 100% right. People love the hybrid approach. They do like that. It was interesting. We started earlier. Is that when we started this business, it was all card only. That was the only system we offered. Then FASTcard came along because all the hybrid. I'm going to tell you that actually what's happening in the last 4 or so years, shift back to loyalty card only, and that's because of credit card fees. The idea that you would have all these kind of small transactions when you're swiping at a washer or dryer, the fees, the cost of doing business with a credit card tends to be a bit higher with a hybrid system versus having them go to a kiosk, putting $20 or $25 on that. That's one transaction. The effective credit card processing rate of that is much lower there than it is if I start a $2 machine and then I go to a dryer and swipe a few times and I do this. You know, it can be very expensive to take credit cards in a hybrid solution. Can be. There are some mitigation techniques we have to help with that, but we're seeing a huge push back. And I think, Dave, you know, the float is starting to get into people's ears too, and they're realizing there's some money to be made there. So you're going to get way more float in a card-only system than you are with a hybrid. Even if it has loyalty cards as an option, not everybody's going to use it. So the ROI on a card-only is much higher than in a hybrid solution.
Yeah, I know many owners that, you know, when we're talking at lunch and stuff like that, they don't want a hybrid system.
Mm-hmm.
Their focus is different, and it's not good, bad. It's just different. And they don't want a customer to do $2, $1, $3, $6, whatever, jumping around. They want them to have to go to a kiosk and load 20 and even get the big bill bonus because they're focused on driving loyalty. If I come into your store and I just whip out my debit card and I use a $3 washer and a $4 washer and $5 on a dryer and I walk out of there, nothing makes me come back. There's no stickiness. There's no forced loyalty. Where if I put $30 on a card and I spend 15 of it, either you're going to get a $15 free money or I'm going to come back next time and you're going to have loyalty. So it's kind of a forced way of loyalty by not having the hybrid systems. And there are many owners that's their focus.
Yeah. And Carla mentioned earlier, there are some products out there where the float doesn't belong to the owner. Yeah. And those products are much less money. And it's very obvious why. We kind of just did the math of why I would be happy to, and frankly, I'd be happy to sell anyone a system if they let me keep all the float. I mean, it's not our business model, but if they would like to do that, I think we could change the price of our products significantly.
Yeah.
But what they don't realize from the loyalty perspective is the customers are no longer actually loyal to the store. They're loyal to the product they installed. Yep. So you can essentially use that balance. Let's say PayPal's not in our business, but PayPal is essentially saying you can have a PayPal or a Venmo balance or a Cash App. You're putting your money into these apps, and then those apps can be used anywhere that PayPal, Cash App, or Venmo can be used. There's no loyalty to the retailer. The loyalty is to Venmo, PayPal. And there are systems on the market that are the same way, where the retail customers load their money with a credit card and they get that functionality, but there's no loyalty to that. You can use that balance anywhere that product exists. And there's a real difference in what we call loyalty card system, whether someone else owns it or they're used. That's an important thing to keep in mind with some of the products that are also out there that have a seemingly low retail price up front.
Yeah. 100%.
I have a question. You had mentioned you have some people that are very loyal to Laundry Card, and they've had Laundry Card for up to 25 years now that you've been doing it. Mm-hmm. That made me think about the reinvestment, because what you're manufacturing is a technology. It's devices, but they're technological devices. And that's something that tends to have a short lifespan because it's constantly evolving. So I have questions about, for someone who has a Laundry Card, it's all in-house. Can they get updates? Do they get notifications of updates? Can you send them software updates? And then my second part of this is, even with the FASCard and the Flex RF, what is the lifetime functionality of it? How long till life cycle? How long before you're needing a new device where it becomes, like our computers, it becomes kind of obsolete? Can you talk about that?
One of the things I'm really proud about when it comes to Laundry Card is how we have provided these updates over the many years. You're right. In 25 years, technology doesn't survive. How long do you own your home computer for? A handful of years. And so one of the things that we're committed to with that product is making sure there's an upgrade path for our Laundry Card owners. Store owners, we have store number 1. Our stores all have numbers, and we still have store number 1 is in service still to this day. And it is doing everything that the current Laundry Card system does brand new out of the box today. And so
to be clear, are you saying their hardware is from 2001?
Of course not. Not completely, but they've been able to they've had to buy new computers every so many years. You get about 5 or 6 years out of the PCs in there. But I guess what I'm saying is that we don't leave them hanging. For one, we provide them upgrade paths. We make sure that we think all the way back to store number 1 to make sure there's a way for them to continue to operate in some path. It requires some reinvestment. I don't want to hide from that. There is going to be that. I don't think we have any card readers that have survived 25 years.
I've never heard of that. That's why I asked.
Yeah. No. So, but even such, people want new things too. Nobody wants the iPhone 1 from, when that came out. They want the new iPhone. And so we also then offer people an improvement as part of that update. You're replacing nowadays with Laundry Card. If you want to, the readers in Laundry Card were all hardwired. They were not wireless. They were wired. And now you could put a wireless reader in its place if you don't want to. And you can do it slowly over time. You don't have to replace all the readers. You can do 10 wireless readers and the rest of the store wired. And we've just really conscious about offering updates in a meaningful way to keep them current. But you're right. Part of owning an on-premise solution is knowing you're going to have to reinvest in this hardware, just like us and our servers. We got to reinvest in our servers and our software and our networking equipment all the time. That's the world we live in nowadays with all the hardware and technology that we deal in. On the FASCard side, it's the same thing. It's a more of a break fix thing where something will break and then we'll work to repair it. I would say something that's unique about the FASCard and Flex products is that because we're store owners and we actually designed and built those products specifically for laundry equipment. It is not used in any other industry other than ours, is that it's repairable. I mean, laundry owners are used to fixing things a lot of times. When you have a 20-pound washer, if the motor goes out, you don't throw the washer away. You put a new motor in it. And, if it needs a new seal, you put new seals in it. It may be expensive, but you do it. We built the card readers the same way. You do not have to throw away a card reader that its swipe has worn out. We have a replacement swipe that you can snap into it. If the display goes out, you put a new display in it. You don't have to replace the reader. The core of the device likely will not fail. It could, but we give you options to rebuild it. We give you parts to repair it. So we've dealt with it in the same way laundry owners are accustomed to dealing with laundry equipment, is just make it repairable and give them options to upgrade it when they're ready.
Very cool.
I love that.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
That makes it much more budget friendly.
So the readers, I guess the word we'd use there is modular.
They are. Yeah. You can literally take a reader apart with 4 screws once it's off the machine, of course, but basically replace most of the major components. Sometimes you can have tiny fingers. Some things are getting really small, but it's built that way.
Cool.
Do you make, when you come out with new versions of FASCard or whatever, do you make those where like I could take my old FASCard and just change out a key part of it and it's like the new model, or do you have to completely jump to the new model? Does that make sense?
It depends on the feature. We do a lot of updating in FASCard that are all software based. And so it doesn't require any hardware change. You're just going to get that feature as part of your hosting fee because you're paying us a fee. And part of that is you're going to get updates and improvements just included in that fee. And we do that all the time. We probably 3 to 4 times a year release a new version. Everybody gets it and they get to take advantage of all the benefits that come along with that. There may be other things, like, for example, when FASCard first came out, it didn't take the chip, the chip-based credit cards. It was magstripe only. Adding a chip to a non-chip reader is just not really feasible. And so that required a hardware change. That required something to be replaced differently. And what we did there is we know there's value in the old hardware, and we didn't ask them to buy a completely brand new device. We traded it in and we repurposed the parts when they send it back to, we broke it down, and those became repair parts for the generations that did not upgrade their devices. And so we've done that for years. It's a great way to ease the budget a little bit. When you say, yeah, I really want to do Apple Pay now on my machines, my readers don't do that. That's not something I can bolt on. You got to replace the core of the device to do that. But your reader still has value to me, and I can part it out and I can use it for replacement parts and for other store owners that are not interested in the upgrades. They just want to keep their products the way they are and buy the pieces and parts. So we've done that for years to keep it budget friendly in the long run.
I love that. I love it. You have great mindfulness of your customers and their budget constraints. Because as we know, in the laundry industry, we don't always have the highest margins, and our capital investment in the laundry industry is huge.
Right.
So that makes a big difference.
Sure.
And this is no secret to any of us here, but I mean, laundromat owners notice those little things. They notice the nuances of what I always say, do you actually care about my business or do you just care about selling me a product? Mm-hmm. Right? Those are 2 very different things. The old cliche of partners, we're partners. Well, not until you're ready to buy something else. We're not in some cases. In other cases, it's like, no. We're like in this for the long term,
sure.
For whenever, amen type of thing.
You've had a lot of experience of not just your own store, but seeing other stores, your clients go from being full coin only, cash only, going into hybrid or possibly even a completely cashless system. What advice do you have for owners that are contemplating that switch as far as how to do it where it's well accepted and works well, or maybe also warn them of ways you've seen it done that did not work well?
Yeah, I think the approach that I take is if it's a brand new store being built, so let's say they're a first time new store builder, it's much easier for you to I don't want to say convince the store owner that everything is expected to be new. Your guests, your retail guests, they expect everything to be different and new. They have no expectations of you at all. That is the perfect time to put in a card-only system. And maybe even if there's no others in town, even if there's none around, if your competitors aren't doing it, they expect the machines to be new, the employees to be different, the layout to be different. You're going to run your business in a new way. And that might include a payment system. And so we usually have very little hesitation in a new store to go card only. But there are literally tens of thousands of existing laundries out there that are 100% coin still today, operating just fine, but they are thinking about what can I do to improve my business, add some kind of payment system, and people talk about it a lot. And I think in those environments, they may be hesitant to eliminate coin because it's a big change. All their customers are used to doing things a certain way. And so I think the hybrid approach is a great way to ease those stores into it. I have seen stores go from all coin to all card and do just fine. It can be done. I think it takes a personal approach. It means that you're going to be there. You're going to sell people on the idea like, here, I'm going to give you a card for free. You get $10, laundry on me today. Give it a try. So what? What does it really cost you to do that for, a couple dozen people? Because not everybody's going to complain. It's going to be a few dozen people. Do that. But if you're hesitant, you're really worried, go hybrid. Put in a FASCard system, put in a Flex RF system where you're doing loyalty card and coin together. And in fact, we just have a new customer that's coming online now, and that's exactly her plan. She's going to keep quarters as part of her Flex system, but she has full plans within the 12 months to eliminate the coin from it. So she's going in, making it very easy on her customers to kind of warm up to it as they feel comfortable, and then just eliminate the coin when she's got 85% of them all using the card anyway. It's much easier to turn it off.
Yeah, my opinion of that would be, and I know Carla didn't ask, but I'm going to give it anyway. My opinion the of that would be, the more, you already touched on this, Steve, but the more intentional you are around it, the more you support it with your team. We were already fully attended when we adopted a card system in our stores, and I shared this in a newsletter and on social media and stuff like that. But in addition to already being attended, we had quadruple staff. We had 4 people on duty at one time for 2 weeks straight, including the weekends. Now, that was an investment in payroll, right?
Very smart.
But my idea was no one walks in this store without getting their personal hand held throughout the entire wash process. And if they want their hand held through the dry process, we'll do that too. We've been in business for 15 years as Queen City Laundry, so a lot of these people have been using us for 15 years. But the first time they walked in, I wanted to remove all barriers to how easy this was. And we even had like a little pitch line, elevator pitch of like, oh, you're going to love this. It's going to make your life so much easier. And I was like, make sure you say that at the very beginning because that gets people excited, right? We had 50 cards loaded with $10 on them, just sitting in the back. And I told them all to keep 5 in their pocket at all times. And when you leave, take them out and sit them on the counter. And anytime any obstacle whatsoever, any barrier, any tension, whip that thing out and be like, tell you what, this 60-pound washer's on us today. Type of thing. And I consider that an investment. And we all know that $10 doesn't cost me $10, right? Too. Yeah. So when you look at it through that lens, the people that I know, and this is just a general statement, but the people that I know that haven't successfully, and this is any card system, haven't successfully implemented it, those are usually the things they're missing. It's usually not this card system or that, or you're in Chicago or Cincinnati or Florida or whatever. It's usually those little details. If you just put it in and expected them to teach themselves how to use it, and there's a certain percentage of people that will, but the majority of them want to be coached, for lack of a better term.
Yeah. I agree. And we have unattended stores that put card systems in, and some people are like, oh, I'll never work in an unattended store. But they don't know the whole story is that those unattended stores were attended for a month or so while they did the transition. And then it's interesting, and you guys probably see this too, you have customers helping other customers with their card. And that's beautiful. People struggle, and another customer, I'll show you how to do this. This is easy. And they become your salespeople for it. But those unattended stores that have been successful with it, they attended them for some period of time, to get them ready.
Yeah, 2 to 4 weeks. I think that's kind of the sweet spot of attending it, at least partially, if not fully. It's kind of what we coach people to do. And I don't know anyone, and I don't say this lightly, I don't know anyone that has supported the implementation of a card system at that level with their team that it wasn't successful.
So this is kind of an odd question, but I think it's very real for us in the laundry industry. A lot of laundromat owners own them with family members. You have a lot of experience working with family members.
Yeah.
From your brother to your father to even your son works for you now. Do you have any advice for keeping the peace around the dinner table when you work together all day?
Yeah, gosh. This one's a tougher one for me.
Marla put me on the spot a little here. Your brother might see this,
Actually, no, I'm looking for advice because I work with this.
I know. I was going to say, you guys are going to be as good at answering this as I am.
Things is hope.
I think for me, I think the business is always going to occupy your dinners. I mean, I don't know a holiday where we haven't talked about something work related. And I don't think you need to push back on that. My sister works with us too. I mean, so I have a brother and a sister in the business. I mentioned my son's in the business. And so when we get to other holidays, that stuff comes up. And it's easy to try to say no shop talk, but it's also our passions too. You know what I mean? We're passionate about the things that we do and the people that we work with. And so it's not necessarily that it has to have complete separation. Other families may need to separate. That could be the case. So maybe there's not one size that fits all. But for me, I think it's okay to lean into it. I would imagine my wife doesn't appreciate too much of it at one time, but she's also been around it so long that she remembers these people's names that we talk about. And she knows from listening to the conversation to become somewhat interested in, the dramas that occur in our businesses and that sort of thing. So for us, I would say we're probably better business partners and family members sometimes because of that, but it does work for us. I'm not saying it's perfect. Every family is going to have to kind of address that a little bit on their own. But for us, we keep it as part of our family. It's what has literally afforded all of us the lives that we live today. And so there's no reason to isolate that from our lives. And so we lean into it.
Yeah. We get this question a lot from other couples, especially we do our workshops and stuff like that. And we get a lot of couples that come to that and they're like, so how do you all manage your relationship while working together all the time? And the best advice I give is probably having clearly defined roles. Like we have our own, and you all definitely do this. You have certain things that Dave likes to call it the champion of. Like at the end of the day, I deal with all the accounting. If I have an accounting issue, I will share it with him. But at the end of the day, it's my decision to make because that's something I'm champion of. He's champion of more of our operations and people management. So he'll come to me and we'll discuss people management stuff. But at the end of the day, he's the champion. He's going to make the decision. Do you find that that's kind of what you all do as well?
Absolutely. My brother is the president of our distribution business. My sister's the president of our stores. And we have pretty clear defined roles. We do interact a lot, of course. And it's not like we don't interact, and we provide feedback and and our thoughts on things. But it's clear that if it's a CCI decision to make, it's my decision to make. If it's a laundry concepts decision, Andy is going to handle it. And Megan is the final word when it comes to things that we do at the stores. So, I think having those clear roles, thank you for bringing that to my attention because we do that as well. That's maybe why we've not torn each other's ears out. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the people that do find a lot of tension don't have that.
Yeah.
It's like, well, it's my company too. It's my company too. Okay.
Yeah.
Like, I always say somebody has to have the ace card. Somebody, or the trump card, I should say. Somebody needs to be able to just put their hammer down and be like, this conversation is over. Because sometimes there's not a right or wrong answer. Like there's 2 or 3 right or wrong answers, and we just need to pick one and go with it and be all in.
Yeah.
That's business.
Sure. Yeah, so. I agree.
Another thing I would like to ask you, is this is kind of outside of things too, is you have a lot of experience from very different perspectives in the laundry industry because you have a perspective as a distributor. You have perspective as a laundromat owner. You have a perspective as a manufacturer. And all of those are very intermixed. I'm curious what you foresee as the future of our industry, because I know people make guesses as to, are we going to stick with a distributor model for equipment?
Yeah.
Like all this kind of stuff. You having that vantage point of all 3 areas, what are some things you foresee for the future of the laundry industry?
Boy, that you're really asking for the crystal ball here. Yeah. Being the fact that we've been around for so long, we've seen this industry go through a lot of things, but this is something very new. I mean, this seems like a pretty tidal change, I think, that I certainly wasn't ever anticipating in the scale that it's happened, particularly with all the acquisitions. I mean, that's really what it comes down to is the acquisitions that are occurring, which becomes this consolidation of things. Distributors are being acquired constantly. So there's fewer distributors essentially to work with.
Laundromats too. There's
laundromats too. Yes, absolutely. We're seeing
mom and pops,
and payment systems. I mean, we're seeing payment systems come from, places that we never anticipated. We never had private equity money in this industry before. That's something that's new and can, something we have to deal with now. So it keeps things interesting as a distributor and a manufacturer. Where do I think it's going to go? I don't think anybody can predict it for sure. I still think that there's a place for this business was built on small business, all small businesses working together. And I think there will continue to be a place for that. But there's a lot of pressure. The small businesses, the reasons why most distributors, I think, are selling is there's no succession. And I get that. I think we were very fortunate that my brother and I were interested. I said my son joined us recently. I think he's going to remain interested. He seems to have the passion for it right now. So there may be a succession in that direction someday, although I certainly wouldn't pressure him into doing that. But there's a lot of businesses out there that just the founders, the owners just don't have that succession, and they've built this whole thing around their lives. They don't want to lose it just because they want to retire. They want it to be some value at the end of their career. And I think that this is the timing that we're at. That's where this acquisition has come from. So I think that's going to continue a little bit, but it would not surprise me if some of the companies, and I'll throw Laundry Concepts into that, isn't able to weather some of that storm because the level of service that we're able to provide, the detail, the attention, the care, the customer relationships, the concern, that's real still. Everybody wants that to some degree. And you don't always get that from, a corporation that has other priorities that are number one, where profit has to be the first part of the decision, not part of the decision, but the first part of the decision. We do a lot of things for free that, we're not always happy about it, but we know that it keeps the relationship solid. And I know there's companies that will not do some of that stuff. So I think there's a place for it. I think we have to weather the storms a little bit around it, but I don't have a crystal ball. We're doing our best to keep things solid. We've reinvested heavily on the manufacturing side. I mean, we realize that there's a lot of money, which doesn't always mean better. It just means they're gonna use it in some way. And I think we are seasoned enough to also reinvest in very smart ways. And that's what we've been doing. We have no intentions of stepping aside or getting out of the way. We have reinvested heavily in the last 18 months significantly. And a lot of that product is coming to market now over the next few months. Yeah, a lot to consider, but I don't know if I have all the answers, but that's what I think.
Do you want to reveal any of the new things coming out yet, or do we need to wait and see?
A lot of it was announced at the Clean Show. We kind of use it like the auto show where you kind of show some of your prototypes early. We have a lot of updates to our laundry card product. So that's the legacy founding product that we had. It's gone all wireless, and I kind of mentioned that's available now. It's also going RFID, so you don't have to use the swipe cards anymore. And then it's got a whole new kiosk integration. So we've had the same kiosk essentially unchanged for more years than I want to even admit to, but it's getting a completely new design, much larger display. AI is part of the equation going into it to provide faster, easier responses to easy questions, help with things that relieve some pressure from store owners are being built into it, and just an easier experience for the retail customer. That's my job, is just to make it easy for the retail customer, easy for the store owner to run his business. And this is the new kiosk. We call it the X2 kiosk, is exactly that. It's just the next generation of customer service that you're going to put in your store that's going to be automated. Doesn't eliminate employees. I'm a hardcore attended guy. I like attended stores. Nothing against the unattended folks that are good at it, but I think attendants are essential to our business. But giving them this tool that we're adding with the X2 is going to make their jobs more effective. It's going to make them empowered to do more. And ultimately, what does that mean? It means the retail customer is going to have a better experience. And what do we want from them? Their loyalty. That's what we're after.
So you all don't do the point of sale software like at the counter, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just at the cards. But you all have recently done some integrations with some of the POS systems as well. Which ones are you currently integrated with?
Yeah, we announced this at the Clean Show too. We have a brand new API. It's just basically a way to connect two systems together. It's called Wash, Dry, Fold ProLink, and it's currently integrated with Clean Cloud, Curbside Laundries, Wash, Dry, Fold POS, and CSI. Clean Tie is the product out there, available to any point of sale vendor that's interested in it. But what it does is it kind of bridges the gap between point of sale and payment system. The point of sale systems that have integrated that can actually start equipment directly from their software. So you can go into your Wash, Dry, Fold point of sale system and actually start washers and dryers that our card readers are connected to, and track the order in those machines as well, where the card reader will actually display the order number when it's running a load for a particular order. So, and it gets assigned a custom color. So order number 1, 2, 3, 4 will all be yellow. So the screens will all be yellow. They'll say 1, 2, 3, 4. And all of the information about the machine starts, the cost of the machine, who started the machine, all of that stuff is retrievable by the point of sale. So you can put some really great backing reports to your wash, dry, fold orders. Not only do you have the sales of your wash, dry, and fold order through the point of sale, but you can retrieve essentially most of the machine usage and cost information and tie it all together so you can really evaluate your orders in that way. So I'm very excited about that. Those providers are pretty much online with their wash, dry, fold integration at this point. They're all learning all the things that they can do with it. There's a lot of capabilities that they have yet to take advantage of, but it's all part of it.
And I love that you said it is open. You mentioned several of the software providers or the POS providers that are already using it, but it's open for anybody.
Mhm.
You just have an open API for anybody. So what I'm hearing for the listeners out there is if you use a different software that you didn't mention, you need to be telling them that they need to link in
Yeah.
with your FASCards and your laundry card.
And, wash, dry, fold is, it's a different kind of business. It's not something that I'm super familiar with, even though I've been doing this a long time. It's not something I've spent much time in. Self-service has always been where I've focused my energies. There's different reasons to be in the laundry business, and self-service is one of them. And wash, dry, fold is just a different layer to that. It can be very profitable. You guys are great examples of how it can be extremely a great value add, but self-service laundries can do very well without that as well. The mobile app that we're launching here shortly too for FASCard actually has wash, dry, fold ProLink integrated into it. So even if you're not big enough to have, we don't do enough orders to have a full-blown expensive point of sale system, you can actually enter the orders right into the mobile app for the attendant, and they can track the orders the exact same way and use a cash register if you wanted to at the end of the day. And it gives you all the same data without the point of sale system that you would get with it, just through our back end. So you can still leverage this feature without actually having a point of sale at all.
Nice.
Oh, awesome.
I love that cooperation between companies. I wish everyone thought the way that you think. So everyone that's listening out there, start cooperating.
Let's collaborate.
That's right. Let's work together. As I always say, we're all in this together.
That's right.
We definitely want to give you time to tell our audience out there how they can get your products. Let's start though with, we'll get into CCI in a second, but let's start with your distributorship that Andy is the president of.
Yeah.
So what brands do you all sell and what area do you service with your distributorship?
Yeah, sure. Laundry Concepts is, we're located in Addison, Illinois, which is about 30 miles outside of Chicago. We cover essentially northern Illinois. We really can go anywhere in Illinois, but there are so many people just within that Chicagoland area, as we call it, that we focus primarily in that market. And we sell the Hipsch brand, so Alliance Hipsch brand, and we also sell the Continental brand. And so we are historically been primarily a new store developer for investors. And so most of the work we do is to help new investors get into the business, help them find locations, help them negotiate their lease, all the things that a good distributor is supposed to route. We still do those things. It's something that's what our dad taught us, and that's still what we do. And there's still a lot of people that appreciate that. So thank you. Yeah. So, laundryconcepts.com is where you would find us, and my brother Andy and his team, great service team, great install team, the whole parts department, everything that you would expect to get out of a good dealer, you can get from us, including Card Concepts, CCI dealer. And so that's Laundry Concepts.
So next, Card Concepts Inc., CCI.
Yeah.
So do you all only service the U.S.? Can you go into other countries?
Yeah, I get that question actually somewhat regularly from people, and I can barely keep up with the U.S. to even think about other countries. But we do actually have a few installations outside of the U.S. It's very limited. We have a couple in Canada, a couple in Mexico, and somehow one of my employees years ago convinced me to allow a system to go to Malaysia. And there is one FASCard system in Malaysia that somehow seems to keep ticking. Yeah, I think that for us, if we were to find an opportunity to expand, it probably would be internationally rather than go into another industry. People, you should go into car washes or, parking, or, you could use this tech. And I think I just don't know those businesses. So if we were ever to, find an opportunity that we finally caught up in the U.S. market, internationally it'd be probably English speaking countries first, because there's there's always that challenge. But yeah, just in the US for most right now.
So if people are interested in getting LaundryCard or FASCard or FlexRF, do they have to go to their distributor to learn about it? Can they learn about the product through your website? And then how does all that work?
Yeah, I mean, my advice is to start with us. Come right to laundrycard.com. You can get all of our contact information. It's probably the easiest way to get to us there. And then we'll get all those initial questions answered with all due respect to the distributors. And my relationship with distributors. One of the things that investors and store owners don't realize is how much a distributor salesperson is expected to know from a knowledge perspective with all of the products, from laundry equipment to hot water systems, to ozone systems, to card systems, to tables and chairs and carts and all of the ancillary things that go into a laundromat. It's a lot for a distributor to be a master of all of them. If you have a new distributor salesman who's only been in business a couple of years, he's not going to know everything. And it's really difficult for him to be an expert at all of those things. So with that said, we really like the opportunity to kind of take the first set of questions, make sure that the investor, the store owner understands the product, get them aligned with the right product. Maybe it's LaundryCard, maybe it's FASCard, maybe it's FlexRF. And then we will bring them to the distributor in their market that best fits their needs, like what kind of equipment they want and what we think is a good fit for them. And then they're already set up. Now they know what payment system they're interested in. We get them talking about everything else that is needed to get a quote for it. But we do sell exclusively through distributors. We've been very loyal to that from day one. And it's something that we still continue to consider very important. So some of our dealers are great at it. They've been doing it forever and they know all the nuances and they pay attention. Others are like, call Steve, and he'll explain it to you, or call Max, or, call Paul, and they'll walk you through it. And we're happy to do that.
Wow. Very cool. Very cool stuff. Well, as I mentioned, Steve, we appreciate you taking the time to be here. I can vouch for all of the Marcionetti family businesses personally. We refer clients to all of your companies all the time. I tell my clients all the time, if I find somebody in Chicago, I'm like, I already know who you should call. Don't even worry about the others. For the others, sorry. I guess we don't have much of a relationship. But anyway, good people will be have been in the industry for decades, will continue to be in the industry for decades, doing things the right way. So we talked about the crystal ball earlier and what the future of the industry is. I'll throw my 2 cents out real quick before we go today. I think it's really simple. I think the people that are collaborating, that are curious, that continue to serve each other, and not see each other as enemies, maybe adversaries, maybe competitors, but not enemies. I think those are the people that are going to continue to thrive and be successful in this industry. And you could put laundry owners, service providers, distributors, even manufacturers in those categories, because I think those things are more of a non-negotiable today for the good guys, quote unquote, in the industry than ever before. And a lot of us are, networking and talking and building relationships, and more today than ever before, in my observation. So if we're continuing to network and share information and build friendships with each other, the people that are being nefarious and not thinking long term and not caring about the community and things like that reputation spreads pretty quickly. The people that are doing those things and truly looking out for the betterment of the industry as a whole, and what I call servitude, business through servitude, those are the people that have thrived, in my opinion, and are going to continue to thrive. So you just dissect that how you want.
Well said. Well said.
I see. Yeah. And you guys in your family in general, I've met your sister, your brother. Max is a great guy, by the way. I used to call him a kid and I got to stop doing that. I got to quit calling him. Yeah. So Marcionetti are a good family. If you get a chance to do business with them, check them out. They won't do you wrong for sure.
Appreciate that.
Commend them. So for everyone back home, thank you for joining us. I know this episode went a little bit long, but man, when we're bringing the value, and Steve brought the value today, we don't want to cut it off early. We want to give you as much as we can. So we hope you got a lot out of this episode, and we will see you next time for another episode of the Laundromat Millionaire Show, sponsored by HM Company at DrainTroughs.com. Take care, everyone.